always guided. There's always something there, our ancestors, our spirit guides, all these things that a lot of times are invisible to most people or invisible to us even,
Right there in the
but we
parking
can.
lot, like almost like he was just like waiting for me. And I mean, he wasn't. It was just, a coincidence or a synchronicity, but he just happened to be right there as soon
It's
as I
very
got.
difficult to accept as a woman that there are men out there who do that inner work, heal themselves, and show up today to match our feminine energy. If healing wasn't needed, there might not be a healing train for us to hop on to have these painful conversations and address the wounds that need to be healed. Whether we are aware of our wounds or they are suppressed or ignored, we have them. They linger in the background. They show up in triggers. They appear in our reactions, in our day to day lives. And they will be that culprit you can't get rid of until you face it head on. Thank you for joining me on yet another season of the Healing Train podcast. I'm Rania, a survivor of narcissistic abuse, a self made woman, a fighter, a light worker. I show up here in this space hoping to make a difference in just one person's life. If that's you, I'm happy you found me. And if you know someone who will benefit from these talks, share it, comment, share your thoughts, experiences, share your wins, share your struggles. Join me on the special episodes I announce on this show where your voice can be heard. Yes, you. Your story matters too. The lessons you learned can help another soul. So come aboard the Healing Train every Wednesday, where we will laugh, cry, and heal together. On today's journey on the Healing Train podcast, I have Mark and Anna Miller. Mark and Anna met through yoga in the fall of 2021 after having been on their own spiritual healing journeys. They soon began combining their independent practices of sound healing, Reiki, meditation, and tarot reading. Both are certified yoga instructors, sound healers, and Reiki master teachers. They enjoy sharing their spiritual and well being practices in their community of Oklahoma City, Oklahoma, USA. They teach at a local yoga studio along with local libraries, tech centers, universities, and their city's botanical gardens. They also teach tarot workshops and host wellness retreats. You can find Mark and Anna all around town, supporting OKC's local restaurants, nonprofits, and the arts. Anna and Mark, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
Thank you so much.
I'd like to read a quotation to just start this episode. Every moment holds within it a lesson for our spiritual growth. Challenging situations give us the opportunity to practice patience, perseverance, and acceptance. Pleasant situations give us the opportunity to practice joy, relaxation, and appreciation. Every moment, every event, every situation can be your teacher if you are open to learning. Credit at Conscious Collective. What a way to start our episode today. Thank you for offering us a short meditation for us to open our space and ground ourselves before we get into our conversations. And just a quick note for everyone, if you are driving, if you are doing anything that requires your attention, please join us at this meditation when you can. Safety is important. Now, we're going to hand it over to Mark, where he will lead us into this meditation.
Thank you so much. Welcome, everyone. My name is Mark Miller, and I'd like to share a little meditation with you just to ground down and really just become present in this moment. So, if you'd like to softly close your eyes and just take a moment to notice your breath, breathing in through the nose and out through the nose, and just noticing any surface that you're sitting on, if your feet are grounded down, or whatever's touching the earth or the surface you're on, just notice some roots starting to grow and connect to the earth so that we can pull up some grounding energy to feel settled. And then start to notice the crown of your head reaching up towards the sky a little bit, allowing the shoulder blades to melt down your back. And then see if you can soften your jaw and each one of your teeth. And take a moment here to notice that space between your eyebrows. That's our third eye. We want to take a moment to connect to our intention and our vision for our practice today, which is to connect and shed a little more light on different modalities and things we can use to find a gentleness in the body and in the mind. And then connect to your heart space here, noticing all sides of your heart. I always like to say that our heart always knows the answer. So just take a moment to find that compassion resting there at the center of your heart. And then see if you can join your heart to your third eye right here at your lips, letting your lips be softly pressed together. We want to find that connection to our voice. And when we meet the heart and the mind, it meets right here at the lips, and every word that we share can create the highest good in our life. Thank you so much for joining us and meeting us at this moment. Softly opening our eyes, taking a deep breath in through the nose and out through the mouth. Thank you for grounding down and checking in with us. We're so excited to join in this process with you.
Thank you, Mark. That was beautiful. Sometimes I feel that meditation can just really put me to sleep.
Yes.
I'm so relaxed now, but now I want to post a podcast.
That's only a couple minutes.
Yeah, that's why we do need a few minutes afterwards. We cannot get right into it because we gotta bring ourselves back, right?
Sure, pull all our energy back in so that we can be the most present as possible.
Mark and Anna, before we get into the work that you both do together, which I'm sure the audience would love to hear about, I want us to start our discussion about the topic of synchronicity. When you and I, Anna, spoke a few weeks back, I heard your story, and the word that popped up for me while you were speaking, if you recall, it was that word, synchronicity. If you can walk us through your journey of divine timing, let's call it, events that took place, including tragedies that we all have in our lives, but most of all, how you worked on yourself to rise and rebuild. The floor is yours.
Yeah. Thank you, Rania. I started my spiritual journey back in 2021, and that followed me becoming a widow at age 30. So I had lost my husband that year, and we had been together since I was 22 years old. So he was, what I knew that kind of first part of my adulthood and really just getting into my career and what my life was going to look like. And when that happened in December 2020, it really kind of just gave me a whole new look at what my life would be following that marriage and that relationship. So coming out of that, I really just started getting more into my spiritual journey. And at that point, I'd already been doing yoga since 2013. So that part wasn't new to me. But because it was during COVID, we really weren't practicing at yoga studios during that time. And so much of yoga really is the community that you're doing it with, as well as, that work with yourself, of course. And you can do yoga at home or on YouTube or whatever works for you. But a big part of yoga to me was always the community. So going into 2021, as the vaccines came out and everyone started kind of opening up business again, I really got more into yoga and started visiting some of the local studios and really just making more of a regular practice of that for myself.
Mhm.
During that time, I also started working with tarot cards. So I did an online tarot class during COVID in
Mhm.
October of 2020, and then ended up getting a deck and actually not touching it for about 6 months because I was a little scared and intimidated by really using that tool.
Mhm.
But in April of 2021, my mom gifted me an old deck of hers from the 70s. And that just kind of sparked me to really get more into that. Soon thereafter, I got into doing sound healing with sound bowls and just learning about what sound therapy looks like and how that helps people. Fast forward to September of that year, I'd been really working on some of these different modalities and getting more into my practices. And I ended up meeting Mark in late September of 2021. And we met at a mutual friend's yoga class. And while we were there, we realized that we would be on the same yoga retreat that started 2 days later. So we ended up spending that whole weekend together at a retreat here in Oklahoma. Basically, been together ever since.
And ladies and
So,
gentlemen, this is divine timing, aka synchronicity. Point proven.
yeah. Yeah, well, and we actually met on the day that would have been my late husband and I's ninth dating anniversary. So that was also divine timing in the sense that that day was very difficult for me, that first time happening after losing him.
Mm,
And to be able to meet Mark and not even know, when we met that day that what we would become, of course. I'm just meeting somebody at a yoga class like you do all the time.
mm,
But then when we ended up just spending so much time together on the retreat and realizing we didn't really want that to end,
mm.
it just all worked out the way it was supposed to.
Thank you for sharing it. Thanks for the
Mhm.
vulnerability for sharing your story because some of what you're talking about here is painful. You're talking about the memory of someone that had so much meaning into your life that you lost, and you had to go through a grieving process. And the healing process is ongoing, but you are, you made something out of it. So now moving on to you, Mark, you have the spotlight
Yes.
now. Now we all have our stories, as you know. Share with us yours.
Okay, so my journey really, I kind of grew up just here in Oklahoma City as a really big like sports fan. I've always been into construction, so my whole life I've done hands-on work. Really since I was 18 years old, that's what I've done. I've been like an artist with my hands, just trying to learn and grow how to make things. And in 2017, I would say I just had a point in my life where I felt like I needed a shift or a change, that I really wasn't being aware enough of my body, and really just trying to get into a place where I could be in better shape,
Mm,
physically, but also mentally. I think I was just really stressed out and didn't understand how to deal with that.
mm,
So really, I went out searching for things that could help me find more healing and discover, new parts of myself. And then that's when I found meditation. So I started meditating and really just sitting with myself, trying to figure out what all the thoughts meant, like to slow down my brain, really, so that I could just make good decisions to really change how I felt, because I think being a little overweight and drinking too much and just doing things like that that were really harmful, but I really just didn't wake up to that until later in my life, like in 2017. So once I practiced meditating, I was like, well, I need to get into the physical practice of yoga and start moving my body. And once I started doing that, I got a lot stronger and I ended up losing 100 pounds doing
wow.
yoga. So it took me about 2 years to do that, but it was a process, but that I could see it, starting to happen in me every day. And even like seeing people from a couple years before that I didn't see, just like acquaintances or different clients, when they would see me, it's like I'm a totally different person, you know? Which I really am and was, just from that self-discovery and really sitting with myself and retraining my brain to be a different person.
Mm.
So that took about 2 years. I decided to take my yoga teacher training because usually at yoga studios, that's kind of what you do. If you're always hanging out and you're in there twice a day, they're going to get you to be a teacher usually, or they're going to try.
Okay.
So just my whole story helped empower me to take that journey of becoming a yoga teacher,
Mm.
not exactly with the intention to teach,
Mm.
but really just because I was always there and wanted to learn more about it.
Mm.
So it really was like a special thing to follow through with that and then realize like I need to teach this. I need to tell my story and, try to be more vulnerable and not try to hold all that energy in my body or stress or just different things. I found a different way to kind of help relieve that tension through meditation and then to keep that practice going through the physical practice of yoga to help make me even more stronger when I would look in the mirror, it just helped me feel stronger, because I could see that change that had happened to me. And once that started, I was just in and out of different yoga studios and ended up running into Anna, like she said.
The
And
rest is
really,
history.
it's, yeah, it really is a different part of that story that she didn't say was that Sunday when we left, I called her, or actually, I think I texted her and I said, hey, can I come over maybe? I don't want this to end, or does this have to end? When she said I could come over, I just showed up with flowers. I didn't really know what would happen. But literally never left from that point on. So it really is pretty amazing feeling that we were two people that really not so different, but so different, with just different histories and different backgrounds but really on the same path of trying to find more of that healing energy or just more intuition, just better ways to navigate through the world, just in a healthier way. And so we started doing tarot and journaling with tarot. We did that for, I would say, 2 years almost every day. Like we really made it a practice to pull cards journal about it, and then tell what we said to each other in our journaling.
Mhm.
So I think that really helped us discover each other
Mm.
and kind of how we were feeling different things. We're all going through all kinds of things with our work and families and
Mhm.
just finding a way to communicate what's happening in our lives together
Mhm.
through that really just transformed us.
Mhm. Wow.
Well, and something else I want to add
Please do.
before we met, coming out of where I had been, I was excited to meet who my next partner would be because when you lose someone, like, time really changes for you. And so I was like, whoever I'm meant to be with next, I do want to find that person, but I'm just going to let it happen.
Mm.
And I also chose that I was not going to go on any dating apps and I didn't want to do that. Um, but a friend back then asked me, what I was looking for in a partner. And I did make a list of that and really kind of, manifesting what I wanted in my next partner. And if you're okay with it, I want to share with you what that list was.
Go for
Um,
it. That's exciting.
yeah, I realized pretty quickly that Mark met all of those things on my list, and I knew
Tick,
that he
tick,
was a really
tick,
special
tick.
person. So a big thing for me is music. I like to have the same music taste as the person I'm with, and Mark really likes all music, so that kind of makes it easier. But life outlook and mindset, someone who's caring, perceptive, follows up, willingness to try new things, commitment to health and well-being, and remembers the little things. So those were just some of the things on my list. And he just really showed me very fast that like he kind of had those qualities that I was really searching for. And we've both grown so much since we met, back then. But I like to tell him too that he was already perfect to me when we met.
I would have to say the same thing. I mean, really, during that retreat when we just hung out that whole weekend,
Mhm.
I just kindly asked her if she would just come to my room and sit with me so we could do eye gaze meditation. And I just wanted to look at her in the eyes, you know. I knew from then I didn't ever want to stop looking at her.
Guys, I have to make a comment here. I have to. Mark, you are every woman's dream. All right? Okay, well, let me say that in a different way. You are every awakened woman's dream.
Well, that took me a long time to awaken. I wasn't always that person either. You know, I've been on my own journey to be my best self
Yeah.
so that I can be the best I can be for everyone around me. And I give a lot of credit to Anna for being able to do that with me and us work through everything together. It's a beautiful thing when we can make those little sacrifices, remember the little things, and just keep that commitment to each other.
Hmm.
It's a strong bond that you can create when you just really can look someone in the eyes and make anything happen.
It's very difficult to accept as a woman that there are men out there who do that inner work and heal themselves and show up today to match our feminine energy. Like what you're talking about is that you've embraced your masculine energy and your feminine energy. I don't normally do interviews with men. Now that I got you here, I'm like, okay, I want to make a point for a man, for a masculine, to be in touch with themselves and to do that work and to do meditation or to ask those questions and to be vulnerable and so forth, that doesn't take away from your manhood and your masculinity, because there's a lot of men out there, I'm sure you've heard this or maybe you haven't, that they're like, that's for a word I don't even want to say, it starts with an S, right? So I don't know if you figured that out, but yeah.
Well, I mean, I can tell you right away that I have two different worlds that I kind of live in, so I get to meet both of those worlds a lot together because I also own a remodeling and construction business.
Okay,
So I'm in
very
a field
masculine.
that very masculine energy, and then the yoga meditation does feel a lot more feminine. And I would say that, you know, there just is a lot more women wanting to do that type of work, you know, I think that's just more receptive. You guys have that power already, you know, it
Like
seems
it's
like you're,
innate.
yeah, it just comes with women so naturally, I feel like that, and men always want to push it away, you know, or act like they don't feel, you know.
Yeah.
And I totally do. I think that's what affected me so much trying to find a different path was trying to hold back all the emotions and things, acting like I didn't feel when
Mm,
really I feel so much, you
mm,
know,
mm,
almost like it, I would say I'm almost alien like to that because I am like in between
mm.
these two different worlds that are feminine and masculine, but
Yes,
I can be in both of them so easily
yes.
because I have done that internal work of noticing my feelings and really wanting to express them, like connecting my heart to my voice, you
Yeah.
know, more and not letting all that noise out there that acts like we're some S word or whatever it is, you
Right.
know.
Yeah. Yeah. No, totally.
I
Thank
kind of I'm able to block that out a lot because I did grow up in a way with a lot of just very masculine men that own businesses and just, you know, aren't always the best about talking about women, you know, definitely.
you. Yeah.
So I have seen that world, and I know that's always not been me,
Mm,
even though I took part in it back then to try to fit in, you know, to try to, which is just so terrible to think of, but it's like what men are doing all the time. So they don't feel like they're less than or they're not strong
yeah.
enough
Yeah.
when really the true power is in able to express your feelings
Mm-hmm.
and not feel like you're being shut down.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Thank you for sharing. Thank you. And back to you, Anna, what I wanted to say about your list. Boy, oh boy. Yet again, the list that you have there, many women who have been doing their work and going through their awakening and being more conscious, right? Conscious about their choices, about who they show up in the world and living their path, being aligned on their path, right? You've stated it. You've stated it. You've written it down. You weren't afraid. You didn't think it was something that was impossible to obtain. And like you said, you manifested it and it showed up for you. And if you may speak to women out there who are, I don't want to use the word afraid, but somewhere around that line, to ask for what you asked for because they think it doesn't exist. Can you
Hmm.
share with us your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think when your heart is in the right place and you are looking for qualities in someone that you want to be a partner,
Mm,
it's so much more even than they have a job, they have a car, what they have in the material world. And I think that can be something that people naturally kind of think about first,
mm,
unless they maybe are on that more awakened path.
mm,
But really, like, truly thinking about what in another person is going to best support me on my journey and make me feel seen and heard and
mm.
someone that is worthy of your time.
Yes.
Quality time is my number one love language. Being able to really be selective in the way where you don't really want to waste your time with people that aren't going to be checking those boxes for you or aren't going to be fulfilling you in ways, and maybe you don't even know what all those ways are yet,
Mhm,
but it is important to really sit with that and think about what is it that I really want in a counterpart in a relationship in my life and not to settle for something less than that. You could kiss a lot of frogs on the way or whatever you want to say, it's
Yeah,
not to
yeah.
say that there aren't other people that will come in your life that maybe for a time are
Yeah.
there, but is not the ultimate person you want to spend the rest of your life with. Just know that like whatever's most important to you, you do need to be kind of patient with that and not let yourself settle for something that ultimately is not what you really want to be fulfilled by,
Mm,
as you really go on your healing journey or your life's path.
okay.
You really want someone who is going to be aligned with you in that, being able to really recognize what it is and not just what maybe feels good in the moment,
Yes.
um,
That's
is really going to be more beneficial in the long run
mhm.
when you're looking for a life partner,
Yeah. Yeah. There are actually two things here that perhaps I can have each one of you answer a question that's on my mind. One is the idea that when we get into relationships, that we complete each other. Personally, I'm against that idea. We're complete on our own. That's how I feel, and that we kind of complement each other. So, if one of you can comment on that. The other thing is when you're with the right person, they bring out a certain side of you. Either it's going to be your worst or your best. So, these are 2 points here. And if you want to answer them each individually, it's up to you. I'm leaving the floor to you guys.
I think when it comes to like the second question that you said about really bringing out the best in each other, but also being willing to help each other maybe see the things that don't seem to be the best for us, you know. Sometimes, like I would say with Anna, just kind of jokingly, she doesn't like to clean as much, but I don't mind cleaning that much, so it kind of balances it out.
Hmm. Hmm.
But it really does come down to those little things of being
Hmm.
able to work together, I think, to like point out, why don't you like to do this? Not in a mean way,
Yeah.
but, when you're meeting with someone that you love and you want to grow with,
Mm.
It's like nothing is really an argument. We really don't argue. We talk. We have conversations that may go back and forth so we can figure out the best way to move forward together,
Mm.
in a situation because we can only do so much together. We're always out in the world also, like
Right.
meeting and doing things with other people, but we know when we come together, we can talk through whatever pops up. If it feels like it's wrong to us or right to us or, whatever that is, it's not really always just bringing out the best, which that's kind of what it is. It's also bringing out the worst at the same time so that it can be better, I would say, to see all parts of each other
Mm-hmm.
and not call it good or bad either. Really, it's not the best or the worst. It's just what's happening right now that we'll be able to be so much better moving forward that once we realize there's a problem, whatever that problem is, that the solutions start to come easy when you open up to
Yeah.
that. It's almost like thinking about when you notice something that is not right, that's almost the end of the problem. It's like there's not a whole lot of work that needs to be done after that. It's just like, oh, like when the light bulb goes off and you realize something. I
Mm.
think we can all do things better all the time. We just live in a world that's made to be creating whatever we truly desire. We just want to do that with our highest good for each other so that we can be the best out there for everyone else too.
Mm-hmm. No, that's beautiful. That's beautiful. Anna, would you like to answer the first one about not not completing each other, that you're complete on your own? Would you like to? A brief stop at a station. This show is proudly sponsored by Say It Out Loud GG, led by the inspiring Judith Diaz, an avid change maker and passionate advocate for speaking up and raising awareness. The Healing Train podcast is honored to have her support. Now let's get back to the show.
Yeah, I think, yeah, you definitely don't want to get into something where you feel like they're just filling in the gaps of what you don't have necessarily. You do want to feel whole and complete in yourself to even be able to be in a place where you can really show that love to someone else. You do need to love yourself first. And another thing with us is like we were just really open and honest with each other from the very start. And,
Mm.
and that's just how I naturally am anyway.
Mm.
But and especially because that first weekend, just we were just kind of like forming a friendship and like didn't have any expectations or like on my end, I really had no clue like what this would relationship would turn into. And where we are like now really kind of blows my mind. But
Yeah, well, let's bring
but
it
just
back to divine
yeah.
timing, which is
Yeah.
trusting the timing that everything is happening just on time.
Right.
Each of you, if you can think, and you could answer separately, of course, if you were to look back at the events that unfolded that led to where you are now, would you say that you were guided and that there were signs along the way and things happened on purpose, not by accident, to lead you to where you are now? And you guys can take turns answering that.
The yoga community in Oklahoma City is not super big. So it was probably only a matter of time before, we would have been at that same retreat together had we realized it beforehand or not. But
Mm.
because we had already met, when I pulled up in the parking lot with the friends I was going to the retreat with, he was right there in the parking lot, like almost like he was just like waiting for me. And I mean, he wasn't. It was just, a coincidence or a synchronicity, but he just happened to be right there as soon as I got there. And then I had told the girls, like, oh, there's that guy that I just met. And so then after that first class at the retreat, we ended up just reconnecting and just spending that time together. Um, but I don't think had we not met at that class that was 2 days before, I don't think we would have been as inclined to really cross paths even during the retreat. And I'll say that retreat probably had 60, 70 people.
Mhm.
And he had come with a group of his friends from his yoga studio, and I was from with friends from a different studio. And so he would have had a probably completely different experience. We both would have had we not met that couple days before. Like he would have just been with the friends he came with, and same for me. Who knows? But another funny story about that is because we both were really active within this yoga community and going to the different events that would happen around town. Something I really enjoy is yoga in non-traditional spaces.
Mm-hmm.
And one of our local, it's actually a cidery, was having a yoga class in like the warehouse of the cidery, and it was
Okay.
pretty cool. Like we'd never done a class in that space before, and I actually just went by myself. It was a few months before we met. And at the time, he was teaching for the studio that was putting that event on, and he was there at that event too. And I mean, I saw him get up and introduce himself to the group. And I had actually taken a picture, like, I think it was just of my yoga mat in front of me.
Mm-hmm.
And he actually was in that photo that I took. And we realized it later
Mm.
because we realized we had both been at that event.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so it was just kind of funny realizing those little things that we had been in the same room together already and didn't even know.
If I were to backtrack a tiny bit more,
Sure.
I know it's tough for me to even say, but do you think your husband's passing was also part of the divine plan for you to be with Mark? And I know that's a crazy, crazy, crazy thought to
No,
even
yeah.
say, but I'm just
Yeah.
throwing it out there. Do you think even death is part of divine timing for the path that we're meant to be on?
I do. Patrick and I's relationship was meant to have an end, and it's unfortunate that it happened the way that it did in the circumstances it did, but it was really all meant for me to be on this new journey that I'm on now. Um and it's funny, like even my mom like knew that about me too. When she met Mark later, like she kind of knew like, oh, this is like who you're really supposed to be with.
Mm.
And it is, it is like weird to kind of think about it in that way, but it is true that, the time, I treasure the time that I had with him, but
Mhm.
that had to come to an end for me to also kind of move on to this next part of who Anna is now.
Right, right. And you've accepted it, and there's no guilt about it, there's no shame about it. You just accept
Yeah,
it as part of the divine timing that we have no control over.
right.
Yeah.
That was beautiful. Thank you for sharing, Anna. I know that was a tough question to ask you. Thank you for
Yeah,
being honest and for your vulnerability. Mark,
for sure.
how do you feel about this idea that we're guided all the way? And if there are any events in your life from back that brought you here?
Yeah, I think really that we're always guided. There's always something there, our ancestors, our spirit guides, all these things that a lot of times are invisible to most people or invisible to us even, but we can feel. I feel like I've been very intuitive in a sense. Um, my whole life, but just didn't know what it meant. I kind of gave it to like Christianity or that religion that I was raised with that, it's just that I believe in this and that's the way it is. And like really still creating more of that holding things in and not expressing how it felt or how I would see it. So I think it just took me a long time to get to a place where I could open up to my feelings and myself like that, which was about 2017.
Yeah.
And I feel like it's been like an amazing journey since that started of rediscovering myself and how we are guided by these things outside of us a little bit and we see these signs, but also being very empowered and realizing how much energy we hold to create our future when we take full responsibility of our intention and have that highest good in mind.
Mm,
These things just start really happening for us that are more positive and more uplifting and give us more energy to inspire other people take that sort of path
Mm,
because it really, when you can stay in a positive mindset, even when things don't seem to be going right,
mm,
I always like to think of it that, you know what, I did my best. I put it all out there. I
mm,
can't fault myself if I really did everything I could do and something didn't go right. I mean, doing remodeling and constructions helped me learn that a lot because in remodeling, it's always something changing. You always find something you didn't think you would find.
mm,
And it's like just like Anna, I never knew I would find her. I was in a place right before that I just recently got divorced
mhm,
and was just, I was with my ex-wife for a long time
mhm,
since we were in high school. And I feel like I just was a completely different person
mm,
because I wanted to be more positive and I didn't know how to do that anymore in that setting.
mhm, mhm,
So I had to just kind of break those ties. And, I have a son that's also now almost 18. And at the time, he was young, he was 14, a freshman in high school. And I just wasn't in a good place,
mm,
in the sense that I was making my transition from this old person to this new person and really not quite being sure of what that would look like. I did want another partner too, but I really didn't have, like I would say, a checklist. I think just in my heart, I knew I wanted to find someone that I could express myself to, this new person I was discovering that I just didn't feel like I had that at the time.
yeah.
So being able to do this, I think everything's led me to right here, definitely.
Mhm, mhm.
Even though a lot of it was hard.
And you could say that you've followed the signs. You've listened, correct?
Exactly. I would say I followed the signs even when, it felt like, am I doing the right thing? Should I go back to this religion that I was raised with? Should I, are these crazy ideas? And then I think it's that intuitive part of me that's always felt like something needs to change. It
Mm.
really was kind of coming more from the inside, pushing me to be something different that I wasn't anymore.
But Mark, why do you think people don't follow the signs?
I think being afraid of not knowing the outcome or taking full responsibility, it really took me a long time sitting on my cushion meditating to to find the strength to do it. To find that internal strength to be like, it'll be fine, no matter what happens. I know this is the right thing to do. And sometimes it's going to be hard. Most of the time, it is hard because we're trying to uncover that stuff inside us that's making us unhappy. Why are we so anxious? Why are we all these different things? It's because we're usually not following our heart or our truest passion, or we're just eating up all our energy and time on unnecessary things that drain us
You're
or really
distracted. Yeah,
sure, train our mind to be distracted for things that aren't important.
totally, totally.
Yeah. I think a lot of people are, even though where they are may be a bad place, the familiarity of that is more comforting than the fear of the unknown. And I think a lot of adults, especially, let themselves stay stuck
Mm,
in places that they really shouldn't be, whether that's in a relationship or a job or whatever that may be, that's like really not the right thing for them anymore, but they're afraid to take the leap to what's next.
yes.
Even though it may, most likely is going to be better than the bad place they're in. But
Mm,
again, it's the fear of the unknown that keeps people stuck where they are. And even if it's a place they really don't want to be anymore, but they they at least know what to expect and have probably built up some kind of way to deal with it, even though it's really not a, it's not good anymore for them. And they just need to be able to recognize that and know that they are strong enough to move on from that. And they probably do have support around them to be able to make those transitions. And but not everyone does. And
mm.
if you don't have a lot of support around you, it makes it even scarier to try to take those leaps because, especially if you're leaving a relationship and you don't necessarily have your own income as much or your own place to go outside of that. there's a lot of barriers that people face. And even if they're in an abusive relationship, there's a lot of barriers that people face to be able to get out of those situations. And I just want to remind people that they are strong enough. There are resources out there, and there just give yourself that chance to find out.
I mean, through my journey and through that process, it really was going to the yoga studio that kept me sane, I would say, just got the stress out of my body through that physical practice and exercise. And then being able to just sit with your thoughts. You can really transform yourself and change the direction of your life. It's going to be scary sometimes, it's not going to be easy necessarily because it is a new thing, but also it's the outlook you have taking that next step forward, that you are going to be okay, that it's going to be better. Even if this for a while is not good and doesn't feel good, it's still going to get better if you commit to it and believe in yourself.
Mhm, mhm. I want to talk about a practical way for us to pay attention to the signs that are happening in our lives that perhaps we're not paying attention to.
I think first, I would say turning off most of the notifications on your phone.
That's a big
We're
one.
so we're so easily distracted by every ping that comes through, and I'm someone that doesn't have a lot of apps on my phone. Like I have very few. But I really only have on my notifications certain apps. And really it's just my text messages and certain email accounts. So I have, my business account that I want to be able to see things more quickly than like my personal Yahoo account that's mostly just like newsletters and junk,
Mm.
right?
So you're
So really
controlling
being,
your distractions, which is what Mark was talking about
yes.
earlier.
Mhm.
Yeah, so definitely limiting the push notifications that come through,
Yeah.
because most of us are checking our things frequently enough, and I'm talking more on the social media side, that you really don't need a notification every time someone likes your picture or even every time you get a new follower. You really don't need to be notified of that in the moment it happens, and to just give yourself that space to know that you don't have to react and answer something just as soon as it happens, as soon as it comes through.
Mm.
Giving yourself that space to maybe even time block when you're choosing to use social media, or just the things that you know, people find themselves doom scrolling and wasting time doing that and getting themselves in a really bad place mentally by doing that. And
Mm.
just really being able to limit the opportunity to do that, I think helps a lot so that you can free up your energy for things that are more important.
Mm.
I
That's a great.
believe it's also in taking the little breaks. It's like it's really hard to take time to just sit and close our eyes for a moment and
Mm.
ask ourselves a question, whatever it is at the time. We'll be watching TV, be on our phone, have all these things and just fall asleep.
Mm.
And all that stuff's just rattling around in there, all those frequencies and vibrations of different energy.
Mm.
Just being able to set that stuff aside. And then it turns into where it's not so much that you need to make sure you sit down to meditate like that. It's that every breath becomes a meditation. Every moment of your life, you're starting to see what's just happening around you. Everything is a sign, because you're creating and painting that picture of your life. If you can find the time to realize that's what's really happening, it's just there's a lot of distracting energy out there pulling
Mhm.
away your power. And
Mm.
I say power in our internal power to really navigate that
Mhm.
internal journey. It's not like power outside of us, it's to realize we are strong enough. So it's in that checking in, I think, is huge to realize the signs that are always happening.
Mhm.
And just giving yourself the space to have the awareness. Because if you're in a place of constant distraction or anxiety or worry or anything that's taking you out of the present moment, then you're not giving yourself the chance to see those signs
Mm,
whether it's something you're visibly seeing in the outside world or something that's internal, that because you're letting your mind slow down and have the space to let that come out, whether it's through journaling or through tarot or meditation or whatever modality works for you, if you're not giving yourself the chance to slow down and do that, then you are going to miss it because you're just distracted again by things that maybe aren't supporting you in that journey.
mm, mm. That's beautiful. These are great tips, guys. Thank you so much. I think
Yeah.
it's doable. What you're suggesting is absolutely doable. And on that note of signs, I can share with you that I've had moments personally where I went down a rabbit hole of, is this a sign? Is this a sign? Is this a sign? And I've become obsessed with looking for signs to give me the answer that I ultimately want, not what the answer actually is.
I think it still goes back to checking in with ourselves that what we truly want to see for ourselves, even if it is in like making a list of the things that you're looking for, a lot of times when you make that list and write it out, those things are just going to appear in your life. When you go out and buy a red car, all you see are red cars, you know?
Mhm.
It's like just that mentality of checking in with yourself and painting that mental picture, connecting to your heart. Everything is a sign. We don't really need to look for it anymore because our life is feeling more fluid and more consistent because we're putting out in the air, in the energy, what we want to see is perfectly fine. And a lot of times that's what we will see is what we want to see. And that's okay.
Mm,
You're still going to have things you see that could be confusing you or again starting to try to pull you in a different direction.
mm,
That's the story of life now, really, that we live in all the time, especially with technology.
mm,
It's an endless amount of distraction. And some things are fine to distract us. I guess that we all want to have fun and enjoy our life, but we don't slow down enough to realize, well, why am I so anxious? What is the thing causing that? Why am I so scared of this or that? What is creating that energy? What around us is making that happen? To be just always looking for signs, I think we are all always doing that and forever will be because it's never ending till this last breath till we're on to the next place.
mm,
We'll always be looking for an answer, something to solve. I feel like this mind, this body, this energy that we're in right now, we're in a place where we're just constantly trying to figure out what to do next,
mm,
what steps to take. And I think we've come a long way as a civilization, but also at the same time, you look around and you just wonder, what are we doing sometimes? There's just so much to take away from the internal peace and happiness that's already residing inside us
mm,
that doesn't need anything. It really truly just needs this fresh air and some water and a little bit of food. The rest is just, sugarcoating it or decorating it.
mm,
Inside here is a place of pure peace, of like an inner sanctuary, starting to build that place inside us. It allows more of what comes out of our mouth to be the most purest thing that's going to attract more of that into our life.
And when you asked that question, Rania, it just made me think about perspective, right? And the quote by Einstein of there's only two ways to live your life. One is as though nothing is a miracle, the other is though everything is a miracle.
yeah.
And that's just what it made me think of when you asked that, because it really is all about your mindset and your perspective. And just like with the law of attraction, if you're in a negative place and that's all you're exuding out, you're going to keep attracting more of that. And if you're able to find the awareness to recognize that and shift into the positive, even when it can be hard to do, then you will start attracting more of that like energy. So just knowing how powerful you are in that and that you have the ability to shift into something positive to attract more of what you really want instead of being stuck in that negative place too.
Mm, mm. These are beautiful answers. Really, I'm resonating so much with what you are both saying. I truly am. Thank you. Thank you. So
Yeah.
now I'd like for you to share how someone works with you. You got retreats, you do sound healing, tarot card, like yoga instruction, so many things. Please take it away.
So our business is called Marcana Wellness. So we just made our names into one word and put wellness after it. But we're both certified yoga instructors. We are Reiki master teachers, and we do tarot, meditation, and sound healing. So most of our events are here locally in the Oklahoma City area. However, we do offer tarot readings virtually as well. And we do classes and workshops, which I think we may start doing some more of those virtually too, to be able to reach people outside of our local area. But we do like Tarot 101 workshops where we help people learn how to read tarot and just learning about the history of it and just kind of taking away again that kind of intimidating factor that comes with learning something like that, especially if you don't really know anyone else who does it and you don't just want to go on YouTube or something. We've found that it's really powerful to connect with people here that maybe they even have done tarot for a while, but they've never really known anyone else who does it. And so we have like a monthly tarot talks event at the studio we teach at where different people who read tarot can just come together in community and practice doing it together in a safe space. We also do vision board workshops and we work with workplaces and nonprofits to do employee wellness for their staff. And we just finished hosting our first weekend wellness retreat. So we're starting to offer those on a quarterly basis. Again, for now here in the Oklahoma City area, but we have goals and plans to expand that to farther places away and for longer amounts of time. Oftentimes, the other modalities that we teach is the first time that anyone has ever
Yeah.
been introduced to
The,
those
the
things.
foreign
And
concepts. Yeah.
yeah, and we feel really privileged to be able to do that and to really introduce sound healing and Reiki. Powerful for us to be able to connect with people and really show them these different ways of healing and to give them opportunities to connect more with themselves.
Mm.
It's very inspiring, and it really just only helps empower and inspire us more every time someone tells us about their experience, like at a sound bath or after a tarot reading. It it's so cool to see how they found that new part of themselves, or that when they closed their eyes and they thought they went to sleep, they traveled to a place, that helped them feel more calm. So just hearing those kind of stories about really how awesome it is to just find that little bit of peace, even if it's just for a few minutes, sometimes it can feel like to a person that's the first time that's ever happened. So it's really rewarding to us in just that sense alone that if we walk in to teach in a room with 100 people, and just one person in there, it changes their life. I mean, it's worth it. It's awesome to just see that transformation or kind of like that light bulb go off in somebody that, whoa, there's a different way of thinking or there's a different way of feeling
Mm.
because nothing is ever still. We're always trying to find a solution or a remedy to something. But being able to find peace in those decisions and it not feel so hard is just remarkable by itself.
Totally. Totally. On that note, I'd like to give our audience a treat today, if you may. I'd like to invite you to pick a card from your deck, okay, and do a reading for us. And if you can explain the card that you pick, what it means, and what I want the audience, whoever is listening or watching, to just wonder if this card is for you. Ask yourself, is this card for me? And if it is, claim it.
When it comes to readings, there is the traditional tarot, but there's also oracle decks, and those are, themed in different ways than tarot is. So we chose one of each of those today,
Okay.
a tarot deck and an oracle deck, and we'll just choose one from each.
Okay.
So I'll choose from the oracle, and then Mark will choose from the tarot.
Okay.
We always like to ask the cards, we'll sage the cards and then ask the cards to show me, if we just really don't have a question.
Hmm.
Kind of like just ask the cards to show me and putting your hands and energy on the cards. We always like to do that with whoever we're with in person, but we connect with people online in a different way.
Hmm.
So putting our energy into the cards so that we can find the highest, truth right at this moment. So would you like to pull first?
You go first.
I'll go first. Okay. So I'll show you the deck that I'm going to pull from. It's called the Spirit Song Tarot. I think
Mm.
you can kind of see that. So
Yeah.
it has a lot of animals in it.
Yeah, they're all different animal archetypes for the cards and
Okay.
really beautiful artwork as well.
It's kind of a spring kind of deck right now. That's what I was thinking of when I thought about it.
Who was it by, if you may share? Who's the...
Her name is Paulina Fay.
Okay.
So here I drew the Queen of Shells.
Oh,
Hmm. Yes, I see it.
mhm.
See it.
Yeah,
Can you describe what the card looks like for those who are listening?
Oops.
it's a
A
seal.
seal.
Okay.
And this represents the water energy. The shells represents cups in tarot in this particular deck.
Okay.
So the Queen of Shells is representing peace and compassion.
Hmm.
So when you've kind of reached that point of the Queen in the deck, that is that feminine energy that really gets things done. Basically, a channeler of love. This comes back really to how we started with connecting our heart and our mind, at the beginning. A lot of it to me, this card is representing love and that self love, and that we do have the capability to find peace and compassion, but it really starts there in our heart
Hmm.
and connecting it to that mind, the receiver up here trying to determine what's going on.
Hmm.
I think the card today is representing checking into the heart space,
Hmm.
what the heart's saying, because I always like to say as well that the heart always knows what to do. It's just sometimes the mind gets in the way, I feel like, because we just don't know how to listen to our heart so much. That takes practice, just like any other thing. The more we practice, the easier that gets to connect to.
Hmm. That was beautiful. I love that card. So if it resonates with you, then this card was for you. All right. So now that we're done with one and we're going down to the next one, you want to show us the deck that you are picking a card from and
Yeah, this deck, it's called the Divine Abundance Oracle,
okay, and who is it by?
and the author is Tasha Silver.
Okay. Thank you for showing it to us.
Yeah, and both of these decks we've actually worked with for many years. We're kind of obsessed with buying decks. We've slowed down a lot, but
But then
um
there's always ones you go to, right? Like no matter how
yeah, yeah,
you explore different ones, and then there's always that one.
right.
I know.
There's so much beautiful art and options of them nowadays.
Yes. Yes. Beautiful artists. Okay.
So this one is called Your Path.
Oh my God. Weren't we just talking about our path and being aligned on our path and synchronicity? That's
Yep.
Yeah.
awesome.
And it's basically a mandala shape with the Om symbol in the middle of it.
Hmm.
And it says, "Dear Lord, help me trust that there's a plan far beyond what I can see through my fears and illusions."
Yes.
Yeah, that feels pretty perfect with
Yeah.
what
I
we've been
mean,
talking
it
about.
couldn't be any more perfect for our topic of the day of trusting our timing. We're talking about synchronicity, about being aligned on our path, about listening to the heart, about doing
Mhm.
the work. It's very fitting for today's conversation, and it doesn't really matter when you are watching or listening to this podcast. It's not necessarily the day it comes out. I mean, we're recording it on one day, it's going to be released on a different day. And when you listen to it, maybe on a different day, it doesn't matter. What matters is that it resonates with you right at this moment because you're feeling it, right? And if you're
Yes.
feeling it, it's for you. And perhaps it's a sign.
I love that.
That's beautiful.
Yeah. And I loved our conversation today, Mark and Anna. You guys are amazing. You're a very fitting couple. I think definitely it was destiny that brought you together. You complement each other on a personal level and in a professional level as well. You're meant to be doing the work that you are doing. I wish you more success and more retreats in different places and longer time, and just for your business to grow, because you showing up in the world doing the work that you do is awesome. I support you 100%. And yeah, I thank you for your time, for your vulnerability, for sharing your personal stories, and for having this conversation with me today. So thank you.
Thank you so
Thank you
much.
so
We're
much.
so glad to share in this with y'all.
Before you hop off the train, if something in today's ride stirred something in you, don't keep it to yourself. Share this episode with someone who needs it. Hit follow and subscribe so you don't miss what's coming next. Want to dive deeper or have a topic you'd love us to explore? I'm all ears. Drop your questions, thoughts, or suggestions. We're in this healing journey together, and your voice matters here. Just drop a message to guest@healingtrain.ca. I am listening. And until next time, keep on healing you and keep riding with me on the healing train.